winter camping and what you need to take and be prepared for and what you should do. So first of all, before you go anywhere, tell someone where you're going, where you're likely to camp, and when you're likely to get back. So obviously if you go missing or you don't report on time, then someone help. Know how to use a map and compass. Before you go somewhere, have a rough idea where you're going. Give yourself a minimum of 1 hour spare at the end of where you're planning to go to find somewhere to camp. So plan accordingly and remember time. Daylight finishes very quickly. So, you know, be prepared to be looking for camp by about 3 o'clock when it's getting dark at 4 o'clock, you know, to be on the safe side. Make sure that you have not only 1, but 2 torches. My other one is in my pack. I've actually got 3 to be honest, because I've got one in my emergency pack as well. But make sure that you've got at least 2 torches with you and that they are fully charged. Yes, phones are very good, and obviously our phones have torches, but you know, you need more than just that, but they make good backups as well. Make sure that you have at least 1 power pack so that if power drops, then you can charge up anything and everything that you have with you. When it's cold, your power pack should go with you in the sleeping bag. Just keep them with you in your sleeping bag, nice and cozy and warm, and you can do your charging and everything, you know, inside your sleeping bag. Just be careful they don't overheat. Plenty of layers. So in this instance, I was wearing this. If this had got wet, I had this that I could put on. I've got another very warm jacket that I can put on. And I also have a very light wind shirt that I could put on. So you don't need to be taking a ton of extra stuff, but just make sure that you have something dry for in camp, preferably a complete change. But it can be very lightweight, so like liner socks, liner leggings, you know, the lightest t-shirt that you can get. It doesn't have to weigh very much. It's just something dry that you can put on in camp if necessary, and make sure that your warm jacket is kept dry so that when you're in camp you can put your warm jacket on if necessary. I hear some people say have a sleep system that is at least 5 centigrade warmer than the coldest that you're likely to go. In other words, if it has a comfort rating of -5, try not to go much below 0. That's probably okay. If you're a warm sleeper, yeah, that's probably okay. I'm a cold sleeper. If you're a cold sleeper, then make sure that your sleeping bag goes to -10 more than you're likely to go to. So if you're only going to be in like 0, -1, -2, I would make sure that your sleeping bag is rated for a comfort rating of -10. I would ignore the extreme ratings and any other ratings, just the comfort rating. Make sure that you have a warm sleep mat to sleep on. So in this instance, I have a Thermarest X-Therm, you know, anything that has an R rating, you know, just make sure that your R rating, you know, is plenty for very, very cold weather. So I think you need a minimum of 5 for sub-zero. I think this is probably about 7 or something like that. The other thing that I think is really important, and I think this is a year-round thing personally, but you must take one of these in the winter and that's a foam mat. This particular one is a Z-Lite. You could use Z-Lite, you could use multi-mat, you know, you can use any foam matting. Just make sure that it's closed cell foam, you know, and it doesn't wet out. So check my video on foam mats. Obviously make sure that you have a shelter that is capable of protecting you from wind and rain. A lot of people like an inner. Yes, we've got one here. They're not essential unless it's very cold. So single skin shelters still work fine in the winter. Just make sure that your sleep system is well up to task, and if your sleep system is warm enough, you don't need an inner. The other thing that you need to have really this time of the year, this is more of a sleeping bag liner, but we use it as a close example. What you really need to take with you in the winter is a bivy bag, a breathable, waterproof bivy bag. So if the worst case thing happens and you have to escape, get out, or you're walking and you run into difficulties, you could put your foam mat, which you're carrying with you, on the ground, get into your bivy bag, do it up, and if you've got a signal, you could call for help. If it's night time, you know, and you're okay and you're safe, just see out the night in the bivy bag. I know it won't be very comfortable or very nice, but you know, as long as it's waterproof and breathable, get into the bivy bag on your foam mat as a minimum. Maybe you can get your sleeping bag out and get it in the bivy bag as well, but you know, as a minimum, you know, have that option. And you could do that almost anywhere, you know, as long as you can find a nook or a cranny or a bit of grass somewhere, or in between some tussocks, you know, or if it's night and you haven't found a camp and you can't pitch your tent anywhere, then put your foam mat down, maybe your airbed if it's safe enough, get in your bivy bag and just see the night through. Yeah, it won't be very nice, but then you just get up the next day and you carry on your walk the next day, and you have to maybe you have to make your drink somewhere else. But if it's not raining and if your sleep system is good enough, you might very well be able to, you know, rustle up a drink or something like that from your bivy bag. Obviously, just make sure that I've got an X-boil here. Just make sure that you have, you know, a cooker with you. Make sure you have plenty of fuel. So you might very well need to carry extra fuel. Summer months, water's quite warm already. It boils up very quickly. Winter months, much colder. Maybe even snow you have to melt. You know, then obviously, you know, you might need more fuel. So make sure you've got plenty of fuel. If you're going to be going somewhere where it's snowy or icy, make sure you've got an ice axe and crampons and a basic understanding of using them, which we haven't yet, but we'll try. Hopefully with Chris Townsend, I'm going to get up to Scotland early next year. Make sure you've got plenty of food. So make sure you've got plenty of dry snacks. So if you know, perchance you're bivouac somewhere because you couldn't get into camp and you can't cook, you know, just make sure you've got plenty of dry snacks that you can eat. Try to always make sure that you either camp near water, or always try to make sure that you have enough water on you. So if you do have to bivouac somewhere, you know, at least you've got a bottle of water. So try to keep at least one bottle of water, you know, topped up. So if you do have an emergency and you have to bivvy somewhere, you've got a bottle of water just to get you through the night. You know, even if you can't really make a hot drink, at least you've got some water. carry your water upside down because that helps to stop it freezing from the top. Hopefully you've got a signal. If you don't, maybe you have a Garmin InReach type device, or I think Motorola do something similar now, where again you can send an emergency message, or even with some of them, certainly the Garmin, you can send a text message via them just to let your friends or family know that there's no signal, but you've reached camp safely. If you're going to be in snow, make sure that you've got snow anchors, snow pegs, snow anchors, which would be, you know, bigger pegs that you can bury in the snow. Also, make sure that you have plenty of spare gloves. In the winter months when it's really cold, make sure you have probably a minimum of 3 or 4 pairs of gloves, you know, and obviously not all ridiculously lightweight like this. You know, it's not that cold here at the moment, but when it's really cold, I would suggest that you had 4 pairs of gloves, and at least 2 or 3 of those should be, you know, reasonably warm gloves, plus also over gloves, over mitts, like waterproof over mitt that is just maybe like a Gore-Tex over mitt that just goes over everything else. So hats, make sure that you have at least 2 or 3 hats of various sorts in case one blows away, in case they get wet or something like that. You know, most of your jackets are probably going to have hoods, so it's probably more important to have more gloves than it is hats, because we've probably got quite a few hoods. So, you know, just bear that in mind as well. So, you know, have some hats, but you know, your jacket hoods will work as well. But yeah, gloves, have plenty of gloves. I hope you found this video helpful, useful and informative, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Subscribe and all that, and hopefully we'll get some snowy camps early next year in Scotland with Chris Townsend. Fingers crossed. I'll see you in another video, and thanks to David for the suggestion of how to prepare for a winter camp.